The letter Vav is the sixth letter of the Aleph-bet. It has the sound like a V, a V. And again, depending on which nekuda, which vowel is under or on top of the Vav, it changes the phonics of the Vav. It could be V, Va, Vu, Voi, etc. Now, the Vav has a graphic design, a gematria, and a meaning. The design of the Vav is like a hook or a chute or a ladder that connects a lower world to a higher world, or a higher floor to a lower floor. The gematria of Vav is 6 and also 13, because if you spell out the word Vav, Vav, Aleph, Vav, so Vav is 1, is 6, Aleph is 1, and Vav is 6, which is 13. 13 is the gematria of Echad. The word Echad, 1, equals 13. So the idea of Vav is to unite and make one. The meaning of Vav is Vavehu Amudim. The word Vav literally means a hook that connects two opposites or two sides. Now it's interesting that if you put a Vav in front of a word, it could change the word from past to present and to future. In other words, the word Haya means it was. Put a Vav in front of the word Haya, Vehaya is future. Yihi, it will be, is the future. Vayihi means it was. So the Vav connects the past to the future and the future to the past. Also, when you put the word, the letter Vav in front of the word, it connects the past and the present. Like Ve'ela. The word Ela, these things. Ve'ela, and these things, means and plus the things beforehand. So the graphic design, the numerical computation, and the meaning of the Vav all represent the idea of connection and unity. The letter Vav, if you look into a Torah scroll, every column of the Torah scroll starts with a letter Vav, besides 5 letters or 6 letters. B'ka shemoy. Besides those 5 or 6 letters, every column in the Torah scroll of the 248 columns all begin with the letter Vav. There are 53 parshiot, portions in the 5 books of Moses. All of them begin with a Vav, besides 10. And perhaps we can say the 10 allude to the 10 commandments. The 10 commandments are the basis of the entire Torah. Similarly, the mystical Torah, Chassidus, the book of the Tanya, which is known as the written law for Hasidism, also has 53 chapters in the first part of the Tanya. And in those 53 chapters, we find that every chapter begins with the letter Vav, besides 10. Vav represents the Torah. In the name of God, the Yud and the Hey and the Vav and the Hey, the Vav of God's name represents the Torah, because the Torah is like a chute. It came down from heaven down to this world. It did not change. The same essence and the same holiness of the Torah that it was above, that same potency is down here in the world as well. It's like water on the top of a mountain coming down to the bottom of the mountain. It's the same water. The Torah remains the same, and it's brought down from heaven down here to earth. It's interesting because the Torah is connected to the letter Vav. That's why the Zohar calls the letter Vav the letter of truth. How do we see that the letter Vav is a letter of truth? If you add the first 6 letters of the Torah together, which is Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6, that equals 21. 21 times 21, which means the outer times the inner, equals 441. 441 is the same as the word emes, the word truth. So here we see that the number Vav represents truth. Also, the number Vav, we said earlier, has the gematria of 6. 6 times the radius of a circle equals the circumference. In other words, if you have a circle and you want to go from any point of the circle to the center, that distance from the outside of the circle to the center of the circle is 1/6 of the entire circle. So in other words, the center of the circle is Shabbos. And the Shabbos is surrounded by 6 dots, by 6 days of the week. The 6 days of the week we prepare for the Shabbos, and the Shabbos is also the center of all 6 days of the week. If we keep the Shabbos holy, says the Zohar, Shabbos minei mizbarchen kula yomin. Shabbos blesses all the days of the week. Also, there are 6 sides to nature or to creation. There's above, below, front, back, right, left. 6 surrounds me completely. It makes me one. It makes me whole. So the letter Vav is the letter of connection. There's a famous story told of the famous Hasidic master Rabbi Aaron, that every morning he would go to the mikveh. And in Pamashlan, the mikveh was on top of the mountain. It was a well, it was very cold, and in the winter, the mountain was very dangerous. And every day he would walk up the mountain, and people in his town would praise this holy rabbi that it was a miracle. How was it possible for him to walk up this mountain every day in the winter? There was snow and ice, and you can fall and hurt yourself. Well, 2 young kids who thought they were smart said, our rabbi has no mystical powers. It's nothing, we can do it. And they themselves decided that tomorrow morning when the rabbi walks up the hill, we're going to walk side by side. We're going to show him that we could do it also. And when they were less than halfway up the hill, the first one slipped, grabbed onto the other one. They both tumbled over, and they ended up with broken ribs and broken arms and broken feet, and now they're in the hospital. A rabbi has a job. He has to visit the people who are sick in the hospital. So the Rebbe, Rabbi Aaron, came to visit these 2 boys. And in the hospital, the boys began to cry and say, Rebbe, please forgive us. We're so sorry for being so chutzpahdik, for being so arrogant. We wanted to mock you, and we realized we made a grave mistake. Can you forgive us? So, of course I forgive you. He says, but Rebbe, tell me the truth. How do you do it? What's the trick? How are you able to walk up this mountain so freely without a problem? And Rabbi Aaron said very simply, and he said in Yiddish, Wenn mir zugebunden von oben, fällt mir nicht herab unten, which means when you're connected from above, you don't fall down here below. And that is the message of the letter Vav.